Dear Sacred Warrior, today we begin a journey into the depths of the Aries Moon's afflictions. But before that, I invite you to take a moment. Feel into your body. Notice where you carry the warrior's wounds, perhaps a tightness in your chest, a fire in your belly, or a tension in your jaw. These sensations aren't random. They're the physical echo of your soul's chosen path. Every moment of emotional intensity, every flash of anger, every impulse to fight or flee is actually a cosmic breadcrumb leading you home to yourself. As we explore these patterns together, remember, you're not here to transcend your emotions. You're here to transform your relationship with them. To discover that even the most challenging aspects of your emotional landscape are perfectly crafted teachers, guiding you toward the truth of who you are. In the previous videos of this series, we began our exploration of the moon's role in shaping our emotional landscape. We saw how the moon represents the manas, the individual mind, guiding our responses to life's challenges, nurturing us through its connection to our instincts, emotional needs, and inner world. We saw how, when the moon is healthy, it allows us to navigate life with emotional resilience, adaptability, and the ability to transform challenges into opportunities for growth. In the second video, we delved deeper into the avasthas, the states that the moon can experience when it is under duress. We explored under different spiritual lenses how these emotional states aren't just random occurrences, but powerful invitations from the soul, challenging us to evolve. Today, we will focus on the afflictions of the moon in Aries and how the psychological wounds of the moon's avasthas manifest through this placement. If you have an Aries moon and you experience emotional struggles and feel disconnected from your ability to thrive emotionally, this video will offer insights into the healing process and how to integrate these challenging emotional states. So take a moment now to center yourself, place your hand on your heart, feel the warrior's pulse beneath your palm. This exploration requires both courage and tenderness, the very qualities that your Aries moon is here to teach you about. Let's start with what we call agitation in astrology. When the moon faces agitation from the sun, this creates an intense psychological state of emotional restlessness. The moon, which naturally seeks emotional security, stability, and peace, becomes overwhelmed by a constant rush of energy, a restless drive to act, to be seen, to be heard. But rather than finding satisfaction, the agitation creates a lack of emotional stillness, leaving the person feeling as though their emotional needs are always just out of reach. This internal chaos leads to frustration and discomfort, making it difficult to calm the mind and feel at ease in life. The remedy for this is learning how to slow down and breathe, to find moments of stillness amidst the emotional turmoil and gradually reclaim peace by consciously shifting the focus from reactivity to mindful presence. Feel into your body as you listen to these words. Where does this agitation live in you? Perhaps it's a restless energy in your legs, a racing heart, or a mind that won't quiet down. This awareness itself is the beginning of transformation. Now, when the moon is starved by Saturn, the individual experiences a profound sense of emotional deprivation. Psychologically, this is akin to feeling emotionally neglected, as though the world around you is withholding the nourishment and care you need to survive. Those with a starved moon often feel disconnected from others and have trouble reaching out for support. This leads to a sense of loneliness and emotional scarcity, a belief that warmth is something that must be earned or doesn't come easily. Healing this requires learning to nurture yourself, to create the emotional security that has been absent, most often from very early childhood. It's about learning to trust that you are worthy of love and care, and that your emotional needs are valid and worthy of fulfillment. As you connect with this pattern of starvation, notice the emptiness it may evoke. This void isn't your enemy. It's a sacred space waiting to be filled with self-love and acceptance. When the moon carries shame, whether wounded by the sun, Mars, or Saturn, combined or not with other malefic influences, it bears the weight of ancient self-loathing, of guilt that runs bone deep, of a worthiness that feels forever out of reach. This shame isn't just an emotion, it's a lens through which you view your entire existence, coloring every experience with the shadow of inadequacy. The psychological impact cuts deep, creating an inner critic that speaks in the voices of every authority figure who ever made you question your right to exist fully. This voice tells you that you don't deserve love, success, or happiness, that your very presence is somehow too much and not enough at the same time. But that shame is only trying to show you where you need love the most. Feel into this for a moment. Notice how shame lives in your body, perhaps as a heaviness in your belly, a tightening of your throat, a desire to make yourself smaller. This visceral recognition is your first step toward liberation. By understanding how these emotional states show up and actively working with tools like mindfulness, self-compassion, and emotional resilience, you can begin to integrate and transform these challenges into pathways for growth and empowerment. Let's now journey through the 12 houses and see how the afflictions of the Aries moon, whether agitation, starvation, or shame, manifest in different areas of your life. These aren't isolated emotional experiences. They are deeply intertwined with the way you navigate the world, how you interact with others, and how you process your own sense of self-worth. Each house, meaning each area of life, brings these wounds to life in a different way, offering us the chance to heal by integrating the lessons we are meant to learn. So, beloved warrior with an Aries moon residing in the first house, as we enter this exploration, close your eyes for a moment. Feel the pulse of life moving through your being. This sacred rhythm carries the truth of who you are. This is where your Aries moon first learns to dance with existence, where your primal cry meets the world's response. The first house, where the moon in Aries is the impulsive spark of self-expression, speaks to a deep wound around identity. If you have an afflicted Aries moon here, the agitation you feel in life is most often linked to the fear of being truly seen. In your early years, your natural fire, your desire to assert yourself, to claim space, may have been met with rejection or resistance. Perhaps your emotional needs were dismissed as too much, or your desire to be heard was silenced by shame. This creates a split in the psyche, a knowing that you're meant to burn bright in the world, but also a fear of the very visibility you crave. The wound here is the tension between wanting to show up fully and the deep subconscious belief that you might be rejected or judged for doing so. Feel into your body as these words land. Where do you carry this tension between visibility and hiding? This awareness itself is medicine. To heal, you must reclaim your right to exist powerfully in the world. It's time to lead from wholeness, not from a place of emotional fragmentation. Reconnect with your authentic self-expression and learn that your natural presence has a place in the world, not as a force to dominate, but as a flame that lights the way for others. Take a deep breath into your belly. Feel the earth beneath you. This is where your Aries moon learns about security, value, and the sacred dance of giving and receiving. When the Aries moon is afflicted in the second house, the wound touches the core of security and self-worth. In early life, emotional nourishment may have been tied to success or performance. Resources, whether emotional or financial, might have been withheld, leading to a deep sense of deprivation. You may have learned that your value depended on how well you performed, how much you earned, or how much you could provide for others. This leads to an urgent relationship with resources, either constantly striving for more or feeling deeply insecure about your ability to meet your own needs. The psychological impact of this is the belief that love and care are conditional, tied to material gain or success. The wound of the starved moon here becomes evident in fear of scarcity, creating anxiety around both emotional and financial security. Notice the sensations that arise as you contemplate abundance and lack. Where does scarcity live in your body? Where does abundance flow freely? To heal, you must recognize that true security comes from within, that self-worth is not measured by your possessions or achievements. Learn to ground yourself in your intrinsic value, understanding that you are worthy of love and support simply for being, without needing to prove yourself. Bring your awareness now to your throat center. Feel the power of your voice, even in silence. This is where your Aries moon learns to speak its truth, to bridge the gap between inner fire and outer expression. In the third house, the afflicted Aries moon creates wounds around communication and learning. As a child, perhaps your emotional needs for connection and expression were not properly nurtured. Your words may have been dismissed as dangerous, too intense, or unnecessary, leading to a deep fear of speaking your truth. This is where the Aries Moon's agitation manifests most clearly, in the form of either impulsive communication, which may feel aggressive or sharp, or fearful silence, where you hold back your thoughts and emotions to avoid conflict. The psychological wound here is that speaking up feels risky, and yet there is an overwhelming urge to be heard. Feel the tension between silence and expression. Where do you hold back? Where does your voice yearn to break free? To heal this, you must find your warrior's voice. Clear and strong, but not harmful. It's about learning to speak your truth with courage, but also with compassion. You can speak from your heart without fear of rejection or retaliation. Reclaim your right to communicate freely, understanding that your voice is valuable and deserving of attention. Place both feet firmly on the ground. Feel the earth supporting you. This is where your Aries Moon learns about emotional foundation, about what it means to feel safe in your own skin. The fourth house represents the root of emotional security, and when the Aries Moon is afflicted here, the wound strikes at the foundation of your sense of home. If your early environment was marked by anger, aggression, or emotional volatility, it can leave you feeling disconnected from the very place where you should have felt safest. Home becomes less of a nurturing space and more of a battlefield where emotional needs were unmet, or worse, ignored. This leads to emotional instability around the concept of home, either recreating chaos within your own life or rigidly controlling your surroundings to prevent that chaos from reappearing. You may have developed a fear of emotional vulnerability within your family or home environment. Please take a moment to scan your body for tension. Where do you carry the memory of home? What sensations arise when you think of safety and belonging? Then bring your awareness to your solar plexus, the seat of your personal power and creativity. Feel the fire that burns here, waiting to be expressed. This is where your Aries Moon learns to shine, to create, to play in the realm of authentic self-expression. When the Aries Moon is afflicted in the fifth house, the wound manifests through blocks in the realm of creativity and pleasure. Your natural creative spark, your desire to play and express joyfully, may have been stifled or punished in your early years. Perhaps your exuberance was met with criticism or rejection, and you learned that it was safer to hide your light rather than share it with the world. This creates a complicated relationship with self-expression, either demanding attention through dramatic displays of creativity or hiding your true nature out of fear of judgment. You may have learned that creativity brings with it the risk of rejection. Notice the sensations that arise when you think about expressing yourself freely. Where do you feel constriction? Where does your creativity yearn to break free? The healing here is about reclaiming your creative fire. You have the right to express yourself freely and without fear of judgment. Allow yourself to play, to create, and to shine without the burden of guilt or shame. Recognize that your creativity doesn't need to burn others to light your way. It is your personal gift, a reflection of your true self. To connect to your sixth house, place your hands on your body where you feel tension from overwork or self-neglect. This is where your Aries Moon learns the sacred dance between serving others and honoring your own needs. An afflicted Aries Moon in the sixth house speaks to wounds around self-care and daily rituals. The moon here often carries the message that duty comes before self-nurturing, that serving others is more important than taking care of your own emotional needs. You may have learned to sacrifice yourself in service of others, neglecting your own emotional health in the process. Feel into the warrior's exhaustion in your body. Where do you carry the weight of endless doing? Where does your being long to simply rest? This awareness can put you in direct contact with your warrior mentality, where you are constantly in battle with yourself to get things done, to care for others, and to prove your worth. The psychological result is that self-care feels like a battle, and you may avoid it, seeing it as a sign of weakness. The medicine lies in transforming your relationship with service. Recognize that true warriorship includes self-compassion, that your emotional needs are just as important as anyone else's. So create daily rituals that nourish you, that honor both your fiery energy and your need for rest and self-care. True strength comes not from self-neglect, but from a balance of action and nurturing. Time now to bring your awareness to your heart center. Feel both its strength and its vulnerability. This is where your Aries Moon learns to dance with others, to find balance between independence and intimacy. When the afflicted Aries moon is placed in the 7th house, the wounds touch the very core of partnerships and intimacy. As a child, you may have learned that relationships meant losing yourself, or that intimacy required surrendering your warrior spirit. The Aries moon, full of vitality and intensity, can feel conflicted in partnerships. On the one hand, craving connection, but on the other, fearing that being close to others will require you to sacrifice your independence or vulnerability. Feel the dance between drawing close and pulling away in your body. Where do you contract when intimacy feels too near? Where do you soften with the desire to connect? This dynamic may have played out in your early life, where your need to assert yourself within relationships was either rejected or invalidated, leaving you with emotional scars around trusting and sharing space with others. As an adult, you may find yourself either dominating your relationships in an attempt to maintain control or withdrawing entirely, avoiding the deep emotional connection you long for because it feels too risky or unsafe. Integrating this wound involves learning how to bring your full self into relationships without losing your individuality. It's about understanding that true partnership amplifies both your strengths and the strengths of those you love, and that intimacy doesn't require you to dim your light, but rather to share it. Through balance, you can learn to stand equal with your partners, not above or below them, and heal together as you both grow. Now place your hands on your lower belly, the seat of your deepest power and vulnerability. This is where your Aries moon learns to navigate the depths of transformation, death, and rebirth. In the 8th house, the afflicted Aries moon manifests profound emotional wounds around power and intimacy. This house represents the hidden depths of our emotional and psychological world, and when the Aries moon is afflicted here, there can be a tendency to fear or misuse power, both within oneself and in relationships. You may have been taught that your emotional intensity was something to be afraid of, or worse, that expressing it would be too much for others to handle. Feel into the depths of your being. Where do you sense your raw power? Where do you feel the fear of that power? These deep wounds can manifest as a fear of vulnerability, where the very act of transforming or shedding old emotional patterns feels like it could be destructive. The Aries moon's need for immediate resolution and its intensity can lead to an obsession with control or an avoidance of the depths of emotional intimacy, out of fear of what might be uncovered. To heal, you must learn to embrace the full spectrum of your emotional power, without the fear of burning everything around you in the process. True transformation comes when you learn to navigate the depths of intimacy and power with both courage and wisdom, knowing that transformation doesn't have to be violent. It can be a gentle rebirth, shedding what no longer serves you, and emerging stronger and more authentic in the process. Breathe into the space above your crown, connecting to your higher wisdom. This is where your Aries moon learns to expand beyond the known to trust in the greater journey of your soul. The 9th house governs higher learning, belief systems, and the quest for truth. When the Aries moon is afflicted here, there's often a deep psychological wound around your spiritual path and your ability to expand your worldview. The moon in Aries, with its bold, courageous energy, may have experienced early emotional wounds when trying to explore the world, or seeking out truths that weren't accepted or understood by those around you. Notice what happens in your body when you contemplate your relationship with truth and wisdom. Where do you feel expansion? Where do you feel contraction? Getting in touch with what you feel in your body might reveal the fact that at some point in your early life, you had to adopt rigid belief systems or perhaps even reject your own deep inner knowing. If your emotional needs for exploration were stifled by authority figures or a sense that your natural quest for truth was wrong, you may have grown to believe that your wisdom was not valid or that seeking your truth meant conflict or isolation. To benefit from the lesson of this wound, the journey involves reconnecting with your inner seeker, understanding that true wisdom comes not from winning battles of ideology, but from remaining open-minded and curious. It's about trusting your own ability to learn and grow without fear of judgment or rejection. The healing journey here is about becoming a warrior sage, someone who can hold their convictions with passion while also respecting the paths of others. Bring your awareness to the very top of your head, your connection to your highest purpose. Feel the warrior's crown you wear, not as a burden, but as a sacred responsibility. In the 10th house, we encounter the core of our purpose, career, and life direction. When the Aries moon is afflicted here, the psychological wound centers on the belief that to succeed, you must suppress your emotions or conform to rigid expectations of success. Early life experiences may have taught you that emotional expression was incompatible with leadership or success, and so you buried your feelings to achieve your goals. Scan your body for where you hold the tension between authenticity and achievement. Where have you armored yourself to succeed? Where does your true nature long to emerge? This could result in internal conflict, where your need for emotional expression feels at odds with your desire for success, leaving you feeling emotionally disconnected from your career or life's direction. You might have adopted a belief that success requires suppression, and so you sacrifice your emotional authenticity for the sake of achievement, leaving you feeling perpetually unfulfilled. Healing this wound is about integrating your emotional truth with your career ambitions. You don't have to hide your emotions to be a powerful leader. You can fuel your ambition with emotional honesty and show up in the world as a whole person, fully expressing your feelings and still achieving your goals. True authority doesn't come from dominating others, but from showing up with your full, authentic self. Feel into the space around your body, the invisible threads that connect you to community. This is where your Aries moon learns to be both individual and part of the collective. In the 11th house, the Aries moon's affliction manifests in the way you relate to community and your place in the collective. The deep emotional wound here is often a fear that to belong, you must dim your light, that conformity is required for acceptance. This can lead to a conflict between your individualism and your desire to feel connected to a group or cause. Notice the sensations that arise when you think about belonging. Where do you feel the pull to conform? Where does your unique spirit want to break free? Perhaps as a child, you were taught that your boldness or independence was a threat to the group, causing you to either become a rebellious outcast or a reluctant follower, unsure of how to fit in without losing yourself. This creates a tension between the desire to be part of something bigger and the need to stand apart and maintain your own unique identity. The healing here involves learning how to be both a warrior and a weaver of community. You can belong without sacrificing your independence. Your individual fire can inspire and illuminate the path for others, but you must also learn that true belonging doesn't require you to shrink. It's about finding your place in the collective while honoring your uniqueness. Finally, in the 12th house, we encounter the deepest, most hidden parts of the psyche. Close your eyes and feel the vastness within and around you. This is where your Aries moon learns to navigate between form and formlessness, between the warrior's path and the mystic's surrender. The afflicted Aries moon here can feel lost in the vastness of the unseen realms, struggling to maintain boundaries while longing for dissolution into the whole. This emotional wound is often tied to spiritual confusion, where your intense warrior spirit may clash with a desire for surrender and connection to something greater than yourself. Feel into the space where your boundaries meet infinity. Where does your warrior self grip tightly? Where does your spirit long to dissolve? You may feel that your intense emotional nature is incompatible with the vastness of the spiritual realm, or that you must fight to be heard or recognized, even within the context of spirituality or the unseen. This results in a sense of being disconnected from your spiritual essence, unsure of where your boundaries lie and what your true path is. Healing this wound is about learning to become a spiritual warrior, someone who can navigate both the seen and unseen realms with courage and grace. True strength in this house comes from recognizing that surrender is not weakness. It's about embracing the flow of life, knowing when to fight and when to let go. By finding balance between personal strength and spiritual surrender, you can unlock your full potential in the world of spirit. As we complete our journey through the 12 houses, pause for a moment. Feel the totality of what we've explored together, how the Aries Moon's afflictions create not just wounds, but portals to profound awakening in every area of life. Yet here's the deeper truth that changes everything. There is no separation between the wound and the healing, between the warrior and the wound, between the seeker and what is sought. From the absolute perspective of non-dual wisdom, these afflictions, whether they manifest as agitation in your first house, starvation in your second, or shame in your fifth, are not obstacles to overcome, but consciousness itself taking form. They are the precise shapes and textures that awareness assumes to know itself through you. This understanding doesn't negate the relative work of healing. Your Aries Moon's placement and its afflictions still inform how you navigate the world, how you protect yourself, how you reach for love or pull away from it. But beneath the story of healing lies a profound truth. You were never broken to begin with. The warrior's journey, then, becomes not about fixing what is wounded, but about recognizing the sacred intelligence behind every pattern. Your agitation in relationships isn't a mistake. It's consciousness exploring the edge between autonomy and merger. Your creative blocks aren't failures. They're invitations to discover that your true nature can never be diminished or contained. As you sit with these revelations, notice what arises in your body. Perhaps there's a softening around old stories of what needs to be healed. Perhaps there's a recognition that even your fiercest struggles have been perfectly crafted teachers, showing you exactly what you needed to see about yourself. This is the deeper invitation of the afflicted Aries Moon, not to transcend your humanity, but to embrace it fully, including its shadows. The warrior's path becomes one of radical acceptance, of fierce presence with whatever arises, knowing it all belongs in the vast space of what you are. So, if you find yourself resonating deeply with these patterns, if you recognize your own story in these wounds and feel called to explore them further, I invite you to join me in a more intimate container of transformation. Through one-on-one mentorship, we can explore your specific Aries Moon afflictions, develop practices uniquely suited to your journey, and navigate the delicate balance between healing and non-dual recognition. The journey of the Aries Moon is not meant to be walked alone. In our work together, we'll honor both the relative path of healing and the absolute truth of your inherent wholeness. We'll explore how your specific placements and aspects create a unique blueprint for awakening, not despite your wounds, but through them. Whether through single sessions for specific insight, 3-month containers for sustained transformation, or 6-month immersions for complete integration, our work together can be deeply personal and transformative. This isn't light work, though. It requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to see yourself with complete honesty. But if you're ready to transform your relationship with these ancient patterns, to discover the wisdom hidden within your wounds, I'm here to guide you. Remember, beloved warrior, every aspect of your experience, even the most challenging, is a thread in the tapestry of your becoming. Your Aries Moon's afflictions aren't obstacles to overcome, but doorways to the recognition of what you've always been. Until we meet again, may you trust the sacred intelligence of your journey. Thank you for watching, subscribing, and sharing. This is Ayla, signing off.